Hi, this is Melanie for Pardesi Reviews, and I'm here to do a review of the Hindi film Kabir Singh, which is a remake of Arjun Reddy. If you're new to Pardesi Reviews, I do film reviews and trailer reactions to Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, and Malayalam cinema. I have a request. I'm very close to 20,000 subscribers and almost to my 2-year anniversary of having this YouTube channel. I would love it. I'm going to put together a celebration video, and I would love to, if you would send a short video to askpardesi@gmail.com, and you can be included in this celebration video. We've had this 2-year conversation, and I would love to see your face and hear your voice when we've been talking so much. And it's because of all of you that I saw Arjun Reddy, and it blew me away 2 years ago. It was because so many of you said, this is a film that you should not miss. It's creating a sensation here. And oh my gosh, it was amazing seeing that film in the cinema. I just rewatched tonight my review of the original Arjun Reddy. I went to see it a second time in the same week. That's not normal for me to immediately need to experience a film again. And I took with me Margaret of Don't Call It Bollywood, and then we did a review together. I haven't rewatched that one because it was like an hour long or 45 minutes long discussion. There was a lot to discuss. And I've been thinking about, as I came home from seeing Kabir Singh, which is a very good film. The same director remade the film, and Shahid Kapoor was definitely his choice to play the role originated by Vijay Deverakonda. There was some controversy. Some producers were trying to get the rights, and they were saying Arjun Kapoor would play it. Arjun Kapoor, in his early years of, he might have been able to do it, but Shahid Kapoor has become such a fine actor. Films like Uttar Punjab, Kamine, Hater have really shown me the acting chops that he has. And I could see he really put everything into this role. A lot of you have been asking me to compare and contrast. So I'm going to have a section here at the beginning where I really don't get into spoilers, and then we can get into a little bit deeper discussion at the end. But I will still do some comparison in the non-spoiler section here at the beginning. So I've been traveling. I had posted some of the videos of the last couple of weeks were ones that I had pre-scheduled. And I knew this film was coming out while I was traveling. I was in a part of the country where I was an hour from the closest movie theater, much less one that could even possibly play Indian films. I was in the middle of nowhere. But this was a film where I wasn't going to be spoiled by reading a review about the plot of the film, because I've already seen it twice in the Telugu version. So I wasn't as concerned about ruining the surprise or anything. And I've been doing a lot of reading. Boy, has this film, Kabir Singh, created a lot of controversy. It's some people are calling it a Rorschach test, which is like when you see like a strange ink image, what do you see? You know, the psychological test. And that's really what this film is bringing out. So much discussion. I watched one of the reviews on Film Companion who absolutely detested the film, and I guess I can't relate. There's a particular scene before the interval where the hero slaps the heroine. They're having a big argument and he slaps her. And in her audience in India, someone yelled out, woohoo, like was cheering that the hero was slapping the heroine. And the reaction in my theater was audible gasps and just, you know, so just a completely different reaction. And so I can sympathize that I'm sitting here in a Western theater where people are reacting to this film in a much different way and not necessarily celebrating what an asshole Kabir Singh is. Because really, I even like to, he's like an alpha male, alpha asshole. He's an asshole. You know, like he is so beyond in some of the things that he does. And it's hard It's hard to sympathize with him in many parts of the film. And so I can, especially there's this scene, one of the earliest scenes in the film, he's trying to convince someone to have sex with him, and he brandishes a knife. At first it's like, I'm impatient, I'm gonna rip off these buttons. But then it becomes, some people have interpreted that scene as rape. I don't necessarily see it that way, but he was certainly being a jerk. So I can see how people would just be immediately turned off, and then if they're sitting in the theater and hearing people react that way to some of the lines and some of the things that he does that should inspire disgust and revulsion, okay, you know, you're having a different experience and you're watching this in a different context than I am. When I saw Arjun Reddy, I thought it was amazing filmmaking. Here was this debut film director, it's his very first film, and it was creating such a sensation. It's just so different than most other Telugu cinema. To have a hero at a certain point in the film overdose and urinate over himself, like, and have the stain spread on his pants as being the interval point. It was so stunning and so shocking. So I don't know that I can separate it out from, I think it was Bharadwaj Rangan in his discussion of Arjun Reddy and Kabir Singh. He was saying, you know, when you're watching these different films, you're saying, okay, I'm watching a Telugu film, this is the context. Or if I'm watching a Malayalam film, I have this mindset. So you can't help but go into a film. And he used the film OK Kanmani as an example of a film that really worked for Tamil audiences because live-in relationships were still somewhat new. And they tried to remake it as OK Janu, and it just didn't have the same impact because there'd already been Hindi films dealing with that subject matter, and it just, I mean, it also just wasn't the same magic because it didn't have Tolkar Salman, but okay. But I see what he's saying. It's just certain films may work in certain cultural contexts. And so that was a question for me. And I don't know if it completely worked for all Hindi-speaking audiences. I think Bharadwaj and other people have said, does every character in a movie have redeeming qualities? Can't we watch a film about awful people? And it's a character study about an awful person. Some different examples that I've heard are Bonnie and Clyde. You know, it has so much violence in it. We're watching horrible bank robbers. That was based on true life people. Wolf of Wall Street, that's another one based on a real person. So we're watching Leonardo DiCaprio take drugs, you know, shoot money at FBI agents, do all these crazy things, swindle people, and sort of get away with it, you know, with a slap on the wrist at the end of the movie. Again, based on real life. And one thing that was missing from Kabir Singh is that there's a certain point when Arjun Reddy is going through all of his real alcoholism and addiction, and he's watching TV in his apartment alone. He's watching Goodfellas. And so they don't have that in the Hindi. And that was something that was a trigger for me. Like, again, how many mobster movies have we seen? Is that glorifying mobster culture? How many Wall Street bankers and finance people in America have quoted things from The Godfather? But the Goodfellas especially deals with characters that they're total hotheads and they just can shoot off with their anger and violence just, you know, on a hair trigger. And that's the way Kabir Singh is too. And Arjun Reddy is just anger management, as his dean said, is an issue. He's a big fat zero when it comes to anger management. There was things that I liked about Kabir Singh better. I thought Kiara Advani did a better job, and it may have been also that the director listened to some criticisms. To me, because and it also just could be, I knew where the story was going. So I was looking for certain things at the beginning. I was looking for those glances. And I was realizing what home life she had come from. The fact that for one of the first times she sees him, she looks at him directly. Here's a person that normally is so meek and mild, but she catches his eye and she keeps his eye in one of their very first encounters. She's signaling to him, I have interest. She is the one that initiates their first lip-to-lip kiss. So there's other indications that she has her own agency, and especially in the final scene, which made me cry, she is making her own choices. Part of the film is that she is an enigma. We don't know what's going on in her head all the time. We don't know what's going on with them in a period of time when they're separated from each other. Do I wish that it had been more equal and shown more of her story? Yes, I do. But the title of the film is Kabir Singh. It is a character study of this arrogant, asshole surgeon, alcoholic, all of that. Okay, one of the main things I really liked about Arjun Reddy was the best friend, Shiva, played by Rahul Ramakrishnan. They've cut down some of those friend dialogues, and there were some other scenes that I saw that had been cut a little bit, trimmed a little bit, and maybe some of the montage songs went longer. I don't know, because the total time seemed to be about the same, but yet I could tell there were certain scenes that were trimmed down or missing. This new actor playing the best friend, Soham Majumdar, he did a very good job, but I'm just biased that I really liked Rahul's performance as Shiva. He just had a little bit more of a sarcastic edge to the way he was saying the lines. That's just my personal bias. I thought Shahid did a very fine job, but again, I'm biased to Vijay Deverakonda. I've seen Shahid in several films. Seeing Arjun Reddy was the first time I'd ever seen Vijay Deverakonda. It was the first time I'd ever seen any one of his movies, and I was just blown away. I don't know that any of the films that I've seen since have quite matched the impact, but I have since seen Peli Chupulu, and which was also a very good performance. So he's an actor that I've been very interested to watch his career. I just thought he was such a standout, and it felt more raw. Shahid, I think, did a really great job in showing in some cases a despicable character. This movie is really a modern day Devdas, but it has a twist ending that the first time I saw it I was totally not expecting. And so you wonder, is Kabir Singh, is Arjun Reddy being rewarded for all this bad behavior? I wouldn't think so. I mean, we're seeing his suffering. The very first opening scene of both movies, one of the first scenes is of the grandmother talking about Kabir Arjun as a child losing a doll and going through days of not eating and grieving and crying, and losing his girlfriend. It's like he's lost his favorite toy all over again. The addiction, everything. He is so self-centered. I mean, he's competent and good as a doctor, and he's one of the top students, so it does, all his drinking and whatever doesn't affect him until a certain point. It gets to be too much, so he loses, for a period of time, months, he loses his family, almost loses his friends, he loses his career, like he loses a lot. I do feel like there were scenes in Arjun Reddy where it was explored a little bit more. The timing was a little different here in Kabir Singh. But you see growth of this character. I don't know if he's completely redeemed, but how can I do it without revealing? There's something he says in one of the last scenes that shows he has really changed as a person. He has really grown. So, is he perfect? No, but he's come a long way from the beginning. There's cast issues that I don't know that I completely got it. I mean, I got it that there were cast issues, but to me, I guess, the name Arjun Reddy signals something. I guess, Kabir Singh would signal something. I could see in the film that his character is very wealthy compared to Preeti's family. Seemed more middle class, but I didn't completely get why there was obstacles, be it religion or caste, that would keep them apart. I could see that he wasn't respectful to her family completely and doing things the more traditional way, but okay, so hopefully I've kept somewhat spoiler free, although it's difficult. Bottom line is, this is a film that I think you should see, but I can understand how some people, especially women, have a real problem with it. I still think it's fine filmmaking, and it is a character study. You know, listen, we see Streetcar Named Desire, and we see Brando being a horrible person that rapes his sister-in-law. I don't think it's quite as bad as that, and yet that is lauded as a great performance, a movie that must be seen. So I think we can watch films about horrible people and not necessarily, I don't know if the film completely glorifies him. It shows him suffering a lot. Some of the punishment is punishment he's giving himself. Okay, so going into a spoiler section. Again, I really liked Kiara Advani's performance. I felt like she made it more apparent in the opening scenes when they first encounter each other, her interest and her eye contact. Maybe it was because I was looking for it, seeing all those clues. It was also fun knowing the baby reveal at the end, that there was sprinkled little clues about that throughout, where when his brother says, well, I don't know, we'll plan for the baby in a couple of years. And he's like, what do you mean plan? You just let it happen. It just happens in the flow from your love, you know? So it was interesting seeing lines like that, you know, maybe he's supposed to just kind of know that there's a baby out there waiting for him. I don't know. But it was just interesting to hear little clues being laid throughout the film, and the care that was shown to lead us up to that moment. The first time I saw it, though, I was completely shocked with what happened. But that's the key to me, is him saying he doesn't care whose baby it is. Because the person that we see in the opening minutes of the film, we can't imagine saying those words. So he has come a long way. I don't know if he's completely over his addiction. I do think in his alcoholism and all the drugs, this director is a doctor. I think there is that God complex that surgeons have. I do think there's a lot of addiction in the industry. I don't know that we all know about that, but I think that is a problem that exists. And I liked it in this film. He didn't go to Europe. He went to like his family's old house. And it seemed, they were showing a montage, it seemed like he was really thinking things through. He had seen her in the park, and then he was really thinking and growing, and like, darn it, I'm going to go for it. I don't care whose baby it is. I'm going to give it one more shot. And I liked that she had gone on her own journey of not just running back to him. I don't know if that was the right choice. I think Bardwaj was like, they're both crazy. You know, they're both crazy people. It's a crazy relationship, but it's a movie showing it. And these kind of relationships do exist in real life. And you're like, is this healthy? Is it toxic? Is it dysfunctional? But it exists. So I don't think we should always have films about perfect people. And I do think that his character goes through a lot, and it is to me an earned happy ending, and not just, I mean, I've certainly seen a lot of other films where the hero is misogynistic and stalking and is rewarded right away without going through all this agony and suffering to reach that point. Just saying. I'm really interested to see what this director is going to do next. I know there's also going to be a Tamil remake of this film. I don't know if he is directing that one as well. I don't think so. But I'm really, it's dynamic, groundbreaking filmmaking, especially for Telugu industry. It made such a sensation. And I'm really interested to see what stories he's going to tell next. This is not a perfect film. It's a flawed film, but I still think it's worth seeing. And I still cried in the final scenes. It still affected me deeply when they finally get back together. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this film. Please do write them in the comments below. Let's have a discussion about this film. It's interesting to me If nothing else, this film is a source of discussion, and I like that it's creating a conversation about these issues, about misogyny, about toxic behavior by men in some relationships. And I can understand both sides' reactions, people who hate it and people who love it. I get both sides. What you can say is this is interesting filmmaking. All right, please do follow me on Twitter at PardeziYT. Subscribe here to Pardesi Reviews. And if you hit the bell and subscribe, then you'll get a notification whenever I have a new trailer reaction or film review.